Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of the GET podcast. And for this episode, our topic's going to be the console and PC debate, where for such a longest time now, everyone's gone back and forth saying, oh no, you got to get consoles, they're so much better, or say, oh no, PCs are better to play with. But for today, we're going to talk about this whole topic, and while we're not going to decide which one's better or not, just give some insight on it. Alright, so I'll admit, I'm more of a PC player over the consoles. Since I've had my PC now for like 8 years, so I would say for PCs, one positive they have is that they can constantly be upgraded, and usually because of that they can last longer compared to a console. Like a console at most lasts like 7 years about.
hmm I mean, you're definitely not wrong about that,
Yeah.
but I also feel like, but this is in regards of you pre-building yours or getting or
Mine
like you getting separate parts and then building your actual PC.
mine was a custom built.
See, my only issue is that with pre-builds is that I don't like that there's a warranty essentially on it once you buy it, and once you try to take it apart and upgrade it from that point on, you're basically voiding that contract at that point with companies now, and then you really can't go back to them in case something goes wrong. They have to have everything specifically the way it was once it gets brought in, and once if you had an issue, like the honestly, in my opinion, um, while I think PC is in a sense better than the console, I will say that like consoles do have a very good edge, I think, in pricing for what you're getting in regards of the actual hardware of the
Yeah, that is true, because every console like nowadays they're around like $500, $400
hmm
about. And you get a solid console. Like I have the Series X, and
right.
you get pretty much a like I'd say like nowadays would be like you get like power of a 1400 PC on the console.
hmm
I'd say about you get
Wait, you get a 1400 on a PC or on a
like
console?
1400,000 on a console pretty much. Like if you were to buy all the parts separately for a PC and put it together, that's basically what you're getting. Like instead of paying 1400 for like a high end PC, you're pretty much getting a console of the same thing for 500 instead.
Right, right. I'm just, I'm kind of curious on my own part though. Because I didn't actually see this yet.
Cause
But I
like
wanted to kind of see because in reality, I mean, I could say like, oh, like a console is a PC, right? But there's also a bit. Honestly, you know what? It's not. I'm gonna say this now because I mean, granted, they do have the digital like aspects of consoles now, which isn't their own right, like a whole different thing. But people would use consoles like DVD players or like the Blu-ray disc like players
yeah,
too at one point.
yeah,
Oh
there's,
yeah,
So
that's what I used to do as a kid with my PS2.
yeah,
so yeah, people would watch TV or
yeah.
like they
But
watch
now like
Netflix or whatever the case is.
yeah, but now with PCs, it's optional if you want to put a disc tray in or not. Because in reality, you don't really use disc anymore. It's not a much of a point to it, you know.
Right. You know what I think is too though? When you are getting a PC, I think ideally when you get like a monitor for it and you pair it up with it, you're getting something that's like a reasonable size that's like for a desktop. But when you get a console, you're pairing that up with your television. So like your television could be for like your entertainment room or for your family room or something like that. And that's why like the availability of having like that playable disc or that nowadays now consoles just have Netflix implemented into them or Hulu or any of these streaming platforms that it ultimately just becomes your preferred like platform to just view the content on. So that's like really what I feel like ends up happening. It's just like that console ends up becoming like a cable box really for you. It becomes like your entertainment system for a lot of different things. And PC only really has like one good thing going for it. Like that's really just like the access to the internet and maybe like a bit more freedom in like what you're allowed to play and have access to online.
It's
But
true.
I give them like different. I definitely think both have their advantages and disadvantages and what you're getting
Yeah.
out of them.
Yeah,
My main thing is just like
I will definitely say ever since I have both consoles and PC, I never touched the cable. I haven't watched cable in I don't remember the last time. It's usually I'll just watch something on Netflix or like I'll just, watch it on my computer. It's like I bother with the
right.
cable.
I mean, like in my case, like the only thing I recently saw was like Squid Games, and that
Net
was like really good, and I
Yeah, and
thought
it's
that
like a
was cool.
Netflix exclusive.
But that's something you could watch on like your console. On like PC, you can like you can pull up Netflix on the internet, but and then like type everything in. But you're gonna be watching it from a probably like your chair, and then like
Yeah.
also viewing it from like your monitor, which at that point it's like whatever. Also, I feel like too with like PCs, if you end up getting dual monitors or more than one monitor, like you could like do multitasking with that, and like that also kind of like might take away from something like if let's say
Console.
you have Netflix, yeah, like console you have one main like viewing
It's
display.
literally it's literally made just like okay, you want to watch something, sure. You want to play a game, sure. But like you can't do anything else.
You can't really do much else. I mean, you know what? They've kind of tried to let like these like they kind of like tried to get away with it by like let's say like you're in game and you want to like check something really fast, you would always like press like the home button, and like the game is still operating in the background, but now it's just like pulled up like a screen that
Yeah,
would like go back. Like that's like their only way around that.
it's like the equivalent of just alt tabbing in reality.
Yeah, it's really just an
Yeah.
alt tab. I mean, my thing is that isn't every console in a sense almost ran on Windows in some sense, or
I
not
don't.
entirely like their operating system. I mean, Microsoft, I assume was
Well, yeah, Microsoft. Yeah, that's like its own Windows thing. I don't know
right.
what exactly the PS4 runs on. Uh,
I I don't
I'm
know.
pretty
And
sure they
that's
all
a
just count as their
Good
own operating
question.
systems.
I'm kind of curious to see what the operating system of a PS5 is right now. It's called FreeBSD. I've never heard of this
I
before.
don't know what that
What the
is.
hell? I haven't heard that either. Yeah, what?
Yeah, I'm reading into it right now, and I've never heard of this or seen it. Uh, I'm not even so sure about Linux, so I'm not even gonna go that far with like saying anything with Linux. Um, but I was just trying to look and see what there might be.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what you're really. I mean, you're definitely getting like something. Like you're gonna get something that like, let's say the like a PC player won't have. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna get something completely different entirely. But like it's also optimized. Like console gaming is also optimized better for console gaming itself.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that with in terms of like certain games have frame rate that are made just for the console games itself. If you
Yeah.
brought that over, and then like PC, when they get it, the frame rates aren't the same. I don't remember which games have this kind of issue.
Oh, I know one. You ever seen the Arkham Knight port?
I might
That
have.
port's really bad.
There's a frame rate lag a lot,
The game bugs
right?
in general.
Well, I can understand that. I mean, that also just might be if the game's just buggy, like on console though too, or is it not
No,
on
it
console?
was not buggy on console. Just when it came out on PC, they like it was like such a lazy, crappy port that
But like that's the thing, right?
it didn't work. There were random bugs now, frame rate drops. And like the models look like crap. Like
Yeah. So
they weren't
it's
properly modeled. It's weird. Like
yeah.
I haven't played the game, so I can't fully describe it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, me neither. I can't say much about that. But you know, it also makes me think though too that like I think even like Cyberpunk might have had like a and granted Cyberpunk had a lot of issues, but I think like players on like consoles had struggled much
Oh my
more
god.
compared to like a PC player.
You know,
'Cause
definitely.
but like PC players still had a lot of issues for like a game like that. I just remember that being the case. I think the game on no, you know what it was? I think like when people loaded into a console like to play their game, the game is entirely like unoptimized for the console at that time. Like in the very beginning, it looked like a. It actually just looked like pixels, like blotches
Like,
of pixels. It's bad. It was bad, and that's the okay. You know what? And this is speaking while I'm on this kind of like this idea of like pixel blotching, but like the one thing that consoles do have that's definitely better than let's say or did I say consoles or PCs? That PCs have better than consoles is that when you play a game, you can kind of optimize your settings to your computer. So
yeah,
if your computer can't run things efficiently, you can tone down the quality of the actual like the game itself to increase your performance and then actually be able to play the game at like a reasonable
I'm just
state.
telling you, there's no wave ball. Stop pinging me.
So I really feel like PC has like that advantage, but like if it's optimized, like if a game is optimized for a reason and then it gets brought to console, then it makes sense, and at that point it doesn't really need to have like then at that point it's set performance
yeah.
like for a reason. And then going beyond that, I would say that um like if consoles like get like a bad port out of it, it just happens to be the case.
Yeah.
And maybe it could just be like like that's the thing though too, like it could always be I wonder if it's always like, you know, is it your graphics card and stuff, or like maybe like your computer's like overheating or whatever, like there's something that could always be wrong,
It's true.
right?
There's a
But
thing.
right, that's the other thing though too, like consoles don't have to worry about that. I mean, okay, I
Yeah.
can't say that because I remember like what was it, like the Xbox X came out and the PS5 came out and people were like running like they were like smoking for no reason, right? At one point.
Okay, I found out that wasn't actually a real thing. That was
That was
fake.
fake. Someone puffed a vape into
Yeah, people
it.
were just puffing vapes and be like, "Oh, guys, look, Xbox is breaking." It's just people being stupid.
Well, no, it's not people being stupid. You know what it is? It's people like lashing out against that company in a sense, and they're just trying to create drama so that way people would probably end up buying the other consoles. And if you know what happens then too, is that if those people who were like doing that wanted to like get the Xboxes and then like hoard them and then sell them off at like different prices, like you are driving away customers at that point because you're like causing like a publicity thing. And then like what ends up happening is that the company itself has to like kind of release a statement showcasing like that this isn't the case, or somebody has to kind of like debunk the myth, right? And overall, that kind of just like looks really bad. You
No,
don't want
yeah,
like you're right. You don't want your company to look bad when you just release a brand new generation of consoles and there's a there's a problem with it, right? It's
yeah.
like, oh, there's a problem with Xbox. Like, my child isn't gonna get the Xbox now. My child's gonna get the PS5, and that's like the thing though too.
My first
Because
time playing this champ. This is overtuned as hell. What is this?
just press buttons.
I didn't even get an
Sprint
assist.
Sprint button. I will back
But
to
Oh, why is Lilia up here? What the? Oh!
I do want to say though that that a lot of the times though too, like growing up, this is the case with me in the console generation. Like my friend groups did have issues with console war. The thing was though is that it's kind of like a bandwagon thing with like how your friend groups will determine which console that everyone wants to have if you all can't get the same console. Like if you all can't get both consoles, um, the
You know,
general
I had
idea
that
is
too.
that you have one. Like the general idea is that like it's a bandwagon thing. So like if I got the Xbox, then my friend's gonna get the Xbox, and everyone in my friend group should then get the Xbox, and vice versa. If it was a PlayStation, they should get the PlayStation. But that's just because the thing is you can't really have cross-platform ability within these amongst like a PlayStation and an Xbox, which kind of sucks. And I don't like that they have this, but I understand why they do it. It's for competition, and that's why like PC players get to have an opportunity to play with some of those players on certain games. But it's just very limited in what terms of games they can play together on, which
Yeah.
kind of sucks. but that's just the way that everything is really with the console wars, though. And eventually, I imagine that they'll. I mean, I imagine that at some point in time they will get a lot more games that end up having full cross-platform capabilities. But until they ever like figure out something with that, it's just gonna stay the same,
Yeah.
which is just how it is.
I know there's been times that games have tried to like close that gap between the PC and console gamers, like trying to bring in like cross compatibility. Like remember how Cold War it came out with it? They tried doing that like oh,
Right.
it doesn't matter what version you get, you can play with everyone. But then in practice, in theory, it sounds amazing. But in practice it's awful. Like actually terrible.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I
Because
mean,
because I
it's
remember
also the same
when
thing with whatchamacallit. This is the same thing with I think Apex does this, and I think Warzone does this too. Where
I think Fortnite
in
started it.
Fortnite, I think Fortnite does. Yeah, and Fortnite definitely did start this, but and like Fortnite has still implemented this, but it's just that like if you're a PC player, you can definitely outperform a console player, and that's why console players have to have like additional like handicaps to like in some way try to like outperform or be able to match the performance level of a PC player,
Yeah.
which is why like in certain games they have like a bit of like the auto aim kind of like assist that helps them like reach like it kind of like let's say like you're playing Call of Duty. Now you have like auto aim assist when you aim down sights, and it like kind of like drags your like the aiming analog stick onto them, but like you never had to move the analog stick the entire time. So like they get to like snap stick onto the target, while like a normal player on a PC has to literally aim the mouse directly onto the target.
Yeah.
There's no aim assist there. It's just perfect. Like you get to drag and shoot, but they, it just depends on like. I think it's just like on how skilled the players are at that point though too. So I mean everyone, but I could say like every person like wants to be like a skilled player, but games like competitive wise end up having very very sweaty people that end up just making it like very toxic for others. But
Yeah.
that's just what it is for those games. It is what it is.
It is what it
It
is.
is what it is. But I'm trying to think what else is like really solid about consoles. I want to say like going over time. I want to say like some of the consoles like I have grown up with and such, like the standout ones. I want to say like the Wii. It's like a very standout console
It's true.
for its time.
Yeah,
Because
I have to say that we really lasted.
the Wii has, I think the Wii transcended above being a console though, and it kind of became like a cultural thing. It kind of stood out very culturally because if like for some reason people still have the Me theme music going off for some reason,
As a meme, yeah.
right, as the meme, like you clearly did a very good job with your console at that point. If they're like still like if somebody like knows like just from hearing it like this is the Me theme,
Yeah.
everyone knows. Like it's one of those.
It's also like one of the most universal games of all time to the point like consoles
Yeah.
that like literally all my grandparents have it and everything. Like it was such a popular thing. Like
No,
it,
you're
br-
entirely
it brought
right.
in everyone.
It did bring everyone in. You know what it also was too? It was also a very different type of like console because the whole idea was that now
You get to move, use your body.
it's a lot more about the movement of the console itself and the people who use the console itself. So when you have people that are now trying their best, or like now it's about like moving because the analog stick is you. It's the motion controls.
Yeah.
So that implements other ideas like Wii Fit. Wii Fit became they have the board, and you pair it with the remote, and now like you're able to do like they had like a lot going on, and I think the ideas were great, especially if the goals were to like do things like fitness, or what else was there? I'm trying to think of. Yeah, I think that's like honestly like the only really solid one. Because the only other thing I could really think about was at the time when the Wii had done it, the next biggest possible thing was the Xbox Connect. But the Xbox 360 Connect was kind of a really big failure.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Was it?
like
I don't know, like, wasn't there something behind the Kinect that people didn't like? Like, it was
Okay,
spy on you
yeah.
eventually?
See, that was the new version with like the three with the Xbox One. It like actually always stayed on. It was never off. Like
Yeah, I heard about
it
that.
was creepy. I had to eventually start unplugging mine because it was like, okay, that's not right. Yeah, that was
I
one
mean, yeah,
part of it.
if you, that's definitely like a worry because at that point you're just voiding someone's privacy. But
Yeah.
that was probably not meant in like the design like intentionally like that. I wouldn't know,
Yeah, I don't know. Can't tell.
but that's just like something that could have happened, and we'll never know because they'll never publicly release that information.
Yeah.
Um, and why would they? You know, that doesn't sound good at all. To be spied on by your major corporation that wants to just sell you entertainment products.
Yeah.
Definitely not good.
I think one thing I was also thinking about with the like with the PC versus the cons, like PCs are so easy to fix if anything goes wrong. Like it's super easy.
Well, yeah.
I would compared to a console, like there was at
Do
one
you think
point
so?
I would
I'm
say because like a
no, I'll
PC
let you go.
a PC would literally be like what was it? Like with me, my graphics card broke at one point. I literally went down to like what the hell was it called?
Micro Center?
Yeah, I went down to Micro Center and they're like, "Oh, you have a warranty still. We'll just give you the money for it. You can go get a new one." It's like, "Oh, okay. Easy." But then like my Switch was getting all messed up at one point cuz like I thought like the SD card reader broke, like it melted or whatever. And they literally said like,
I remember that.
it'll take like, 2 weeks to fix." And I'm like, "What?"
And also $120.
Yeah, and I was like, "What?"
I mean, wasn't that kind of like how the Red Ring of Death was on the like the Xbox 360, where you had to send it to a place that was just dealing with Red Rings of Death,
yeah,
just
pretty
so
Yeah.
much.
like that, right? But that's how that was. My thing with consoles is that at least you're guaranteed because you have bought that product in some way, shape, or form that they have to fix it. And the
Yeah.
same thing goes for a pre-built if you built your PC. The only thing that doesn't help you is when you build your own PC and now you have to do everything on your own. I feel like, and the reason why I'm saying this is because if you buy a pre-built, a top-of-the-line pre-built, it's very expensive. It's like nowadays it's like $2,000. I mean, even like the best the best graphics card right now was like, which is the 3090 still, if I believe correctly.
Around it's like
Is
the top 30,000, like
right.
3,000.
It's like $3,000, right?
No, it's not three. No, God, maybe back
Or
at its
No.
peak when they're like you couldn't get it. Yeah, it was pretty high up there, like that.
how much is it now then?
Now
Is it?
now it's back to like regular price, like 400, 500.
Hold on. No. There's no way. 3090.
No, because they finally restocked it over this. It's the summertime they restock.
Oh no. Okay. Well,
Yeah, I
here
heard about that.
I got one here. No, ready? I just typed in 3090 just for some reason, right? The first thing I find on Google search is ads pertaining to this to the consoles, and the first thing I find is a Super Micro AMD Ryzen Threadripper Pro Ultimate Workstation. This on Newegg business is $6,000. This is a pre-built, right? Then there's like an ABS Legend gaming desktop, Intel i9 RTX 390 with 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM and 1 terabyte SSD. That's $4,000 right there. Like, these things are so expensive because they want to sell you one piece to just make everything look super crisp or something, but that one piece costs thousands of dollars
Yeah.
because it's the top of the line. And in reality, you can save yourself basically over $3,000, $4,000 on if as long as you downgrade by just downgrading and just going a couple models back, and then two, just building it on your own, because you're never gonna have to deal with this. You
That
know,
is true.
you don't have to. The only thing is you have to make sure, one, that you take care of your computer then, right, and make sure nothing goes wrong. You have to update your computer consistently, and normally that's the case too. But if people don't understand how to problem solve or apply themselves in that regard, then what ends up happening is that when something goes wrong, and this is the case with me, like I didn't apply myself to like just to clean it out for a while, and heat my energy supply unit had died. But the only way to have no like, but it still operated is the thing. The only issue is that I had to test out every single other piece of my computer and basically replace them to ultimately find out that that was the one last piece I probably just needed to replace to see if everything else was working. And like, it's not like one of those easy things you can figure out. It's a trial and error thing
No, yeah,
where
definitely.
you go through, you go through, and then eventually you figure out what's wrong or whatever the case might have been. Like I was finding out by doing that, like my hard drives were like getting burnt out because of it, and it would take like 2 months, and then it would burn out,
Yeah.
and then I have to get a new one, which was like, or like every 6 months this happened. I have to get a new one. And it was very, very annoying. And ultimately, like once you fix this issue, like everything goes back to normal. Once everything's in like perfect harmony with each other, it's you never have an issue. And honestly, at that point, then it's like you're definitely doing way better than a console. Once something messes up slightly, you're really out of commission for like a good while until you can kind of figure out what happened, or you have to kind of go out of your way to find someone that can repair your computer and knows and understands how a gaming platform computer works.
Yeah.
That's really just what it is at the end of the day. So I don't know. Like I feel like if you are the simple man and you really don't want to like go crazy, a pre-build is fine. A console is fine. I think that's totally okay and acceptable ideas.
Yeah.
If you want to go out of your way because it's a gaming computer, like I'm gonna spend more money on this. I'm gonna be using this all the time instead of a console or like my TV or something and entertaining myself through those means. And I'm gonna be entertaining myself on the computer, on desktop. Then yeah, it makes total sense to just go out of your way to get a gaming computer and build it yourself.
Yeah, there's a lot of things with this. Like, you don't need to go crazy. Like, I know some of my coworkers when they were building their PCs like last year, like because COVID, because they were stuck inside, couldn't do anything. They were like getting all like the 20, no, like the 2050s and all those. I was like, why are you guys getting so
Hmm.
crazy? That was so much money. It's not like you don't need it. You really don't. For so many, I
Eh,
was like, you don't need it. One, because like unless you want to go like like 200 FPS constantly and you don't want to burn out your computer, sure, go nuts. You go do what you want, but you don't need that because most games nowadays they don't even recommend the 2000 yet. Maybe in like another couple of years, maybe they'll need it by then. But like
but that
the
time is coming. That
sure,
time is coming though. That's why.
it's true. But like
Well,
the
I
highest
don't
I've
know.
seen is like games that need like 1660. That's it. Not even like TI, it's just regular 1660s. Which I
You know
feel
what is
like
though
that's like the
too.
new norm. Yeah, you go.
In reality, it's just you need to have. It's always they're always going to check your CPU, your graphics processing unit, and then I guess your RAM. Once you have those three main things secured and locked down, everything else is really just pretty much straightforward. But the only thing you still need to worry about then is your power supply, making sure it powers everything and doesn't over like load it with too much energy. Like there's the wattage needs to be just perfect in
Yeah.
how much it does get. Um, but everything else about the computer, like whatever the case might be, the only thing I've never really considered was that like in my case, like I still have a fan and like that radiator on my CPU that ends up cooling it. But people do go and get the water cooling for their CPUs just so they can just like they can kind of just let that thing run and just it cools the whole system down at that point by doing that because essentially the CPU is just the brain and it
Yeah.
runs the whole thing. So if the brain is like overheated as hell, there's a problem, you know.
Yeah.
So like if they take very good care of that to make sure that that never happens.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely say like water heating is definitely worth it. Like my PC's been running for 8 years with water cooling and it's been fine. Just every now and then, like I also have fans on the side. I just clean those out every now and then. I'm good to go.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all you really need to do is just clean the fans and then just that's perfect. And the only other thing that could potentially be the issue is like with Windows for some reason on mine, it's just like it's an update. Like once you finish the update, it's good. I haven't even heard anything about the most recent update, Windows 11, though. I heard that's like a big thing now. Like that's like happening.
People aren't liking it because like it looks like they're just trying to look like a Mac because people like the stuff on the Mac for some reason.
What do you mean by
like the
like
like the
the
style. The style is more of a Mac. That's what they're
like the
trying to do.
like kind of like the bottom dashboard where it's like a centerpiece, and then like the top is where you kind of do like a lot of your other like things to get like a lot of your
Like
settings.
the top is clear and the new taskbar like it's all the white style. Like what is it?
Okay,
Like
I'll see. Here, wait, hold on. I'll look it
I
up.
like Kaylin could probably compare it a little bit because you have a Mac, right? I don't have Mac stuff.
Windows.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like you have like the bottom bar, it's like in the middle or something like that.
This is very Mac like. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're trying to do that now. They're trying to, I
It's
guess,
interesting.
appeal to the
You
Mac audience to convert them over. That's my way of putting it.
Oh, I like that.
you know what? I think it also might. You know what it is though too, and this is the case when Windows 8 was the thing. So like when Windows 8 came out, they were trying to appeal to the people who were going to buy those notepad console, or not those notepad consoles, but those like those little notepad, iPad type of things. You know?
Yeah.
You mean like the Samsungs, like the
Yeah, like those
tablets?
little yeah, like those tablets. Yeah, correct. Or like yeah, exactly the tablet,
I forgot those
right?
were a thing for a while. Those kind of died out.
But that's the thing though, right? But at the time, Windows 8 was made for that, but then people who got Windows 8 had to deal with the fact that
It
Windows 8
was
was
basically a
now on their
tablet.
PC, was a tablet, and now it's on their PC, but their PC isn't a tablet. So that's why people freaked out over it, and they demanded like a complete re-roll back to Windows 7, and then eventually they fixed it, and they just made it was Windows 8 without the tablet part, like at all. Like they fixed everything, because when you would go to the home screen in the bottom left, it would pull up like a bunch of different squares, like it was a tablet. It was just very very annoying, and it was very unnecessary for a PC user.
Yeah.
But if they're trying to go for like that again, it's very pot. You know what it is like? They still have these products, so and like people would use them, you know, in like the business world and such, like on the go. So they still have to appeal to those demographics too, and those consumers.
Yeah, you got a
So
point with that.
when you have like, you're gonna get them, and yeah, if the Mac is being that it's such a very top of the line product that's definitely more or less not for gaming, but more or less designed to entertain people like that are definitely like wanting to do multitasking and such on the computer. I mean, even for like some of my friends that are programmers, they prefer using a laptop that's a Mac to do programming even
Yeah.
on. Which is, I didn't know this was the case. I always would have assumed that programming would have been done better on a Windows platform with a
Really?
Windows operating system. Yeah, apparently this is the case. Yeah.
I didn't think of it. 'Cause what was it? Because like I'm a programmer, but I mostly I love like I can never go without doing the Windows UI and stuff.
Well, why do you think I'm doing all of like the Twine assignments on the computer? Because it's just portable and I could take it anywhere and stuff.
That's true.
It's just like convenience, like feeling comfortable.
I think it's a bit more than just the convenience, though. I think it's actually just that somehow my friends that are doing computer science, they just end up for some reason it's much more accessible for like the ways to like actually provide the code into it. While I think on Windows it's like harder for them for some reason. I don't know what it is, and I
I think
think some
it's
of them do.
I think it's like the
So,
processor maybe.
I'm not entirely sure. Some of them also do Linux, and some other platforms though too. Like they are doing Linux, like uh, c- computer science.
Yeah.
So in programming with that, it might be completely different. I mean, one of my friends works for Squarespace, so they do like constant like perform like they're doing consistent, you know, computer science all the time and programming. And in his case, like they're also literally like giving him like, hey, we're gonna give you shares of the company as long as you work for us for 4 years, up to like a maximum of like whatever the case is. So like entitling them to like work hard and do well, so that way their stocks are gonna like end up improving in the company, and they can always end up selling it off afterwards to make the profit
Yeah.
Yeah.
on top of the base salary, which is not bad. and it's like pretty solid idea too, honestly. But you do have the option of something like that on like within, um, I would say like I guess like your laptop even being the case now, if that's the case, or just like how they're just trying to grab the people from the Mac side of things. Granted, that's just like a very niche demographic and consumer base, but nonetheless, it's still like kind of like they're just trying to meet all criterias that they might have.
I
Yeah.
messed that up for you. Well, it kind of put a point into my E for some reason. Not really sure about that.
Bruh. You pulled a John Fat Finger.
Honestly, the only thing I have to say that's maybe like annoying about consoles though is that when they like they'll release really they will re-release like a new generation line of console just to like update a very small piece of it because that's
Like
just how
I feel like the OLED Switch is a good
Oh
example
yeah,
of that.
that's a thing that's happening for some reason.
Yeah, that's a thing, and I've heard really bad things about OLED
No,
Oh, what do you
they're
mean?
not
like
good.
stuff.
OLED's not good.
Well, okay, so what happened to my old phone, John? It's an LED. It was an iPhone
Mhm.
XR, but I had um screen retention, meaning it would basically like oh shoot. Um how do I describe it? It like burned an image of something into the screen. Like something I
Oh.
recently played. Like it did that with Genshin Impact. So basically every time I went on to Discord,
Mhm.
and I use Discord quote unquote a lot, it would
All right,
have
right.
the UI of Discord burned into my screen.
This is the case, I think, not just for that though.
It's
This is,
for OLED. I heard that screen burn is really bad on OLEDs.
I mean, this is also the case though. I think, like, granted, this if it's like really noticeable, then that's the case. But, like, that's also just like part of the thing. I mean, like, that's just you using it though. Like, if it's like someone like me who's a console user or not a console user, like, yeah, console user, like. I was always told to like make sure you turn the TV off or something if you decide to walk away from like the console because it's gonna burn like
That's a thing.
whatever. Yeah, this is a thing.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this. What?
The idea, basically, whatever if you like leave your screen on something for the longest time, um, and it like actually ends up getting affected through this, like what ends up happening is that like it will burn, kind of like I would say like a tattoo almost. Let's say like onto like that screen, and now it's like there permanently. And there's no way to get rid of it unless I guess you end up getting a new screen or whatever the case is for the TV or whatever. But I think that at that point the damage is done,
Yeah.
and it's just like what else you're gonna do? You have to kind of just live with that, you know. Same thing would probably go for a PC, like if I have my modder. But like I would imagine, like this is why there's like reasons why I lower the brightness and such, so that way this stuff could never possibly happen. And just because I also don't need a shining bright PC at like 10 o'clock at night that ends up burning my eyes. Like, you know, because like you end up hurting yourself if you have something like that. You need like proper settings to like work and utilize your home devices like properly.
Yeah.
And like and being able to enjoy them too, like that's definitely the case. You don't want to like you don't want to like use something that like suffer through it. You want to like
That's my one issue with the Xbox One I have. I noticed that sometimes it would still be on even though I turned it off.
Okay,
And it didn't make
that's
sense to me.
that's the thing with the Xbox. You can't touch the
I don't like that.
you can't touch the button. You have to physically turn it off like in the menu.
yeah, this is the case. Yeah, I think this is also the case with the PlayStation too. It's like you would go to turn it off, and they have like sleep modes. You would
Yeah.
essentially just be sleep moding them. It's same thing with PC does this too. But on PC, like you know how to turn it off. It's on the bottom left. It's like that's the part, or you just end up hard resetting your PC if you're really one of those people that wants to like kind of go for it. I don't like doing that though on my PC because I know things happen and it ends up causing problems.
Yeah.
But on those consoles, you had to go into settings to end up turning off your console. I don't know why they did that. It might have been like a safety measure for it, but like it was very stupid. I feel like because a lot of people end up just thinking they turned it off, but they never did turn it off. Now they're wasting electricity because you have it in sleep mode, and it's just like unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's just very dumb things that they have. Like costs, like whoever has to be an engineer or a product developer for consoles has to do a lot of work.
Yeah. That's true.
You know, and the same thing probably ends up going for a PC company, but I feel like consoles end up taking the cake because they were like always they were kind of doing it first.
True.
But besides that, I mean, I'm trying to think what else there really is to say.
Oh, I completely forgot one thing I mentioned about the.
Consoles are very kid friendly.
Did we say that? Oh, we said that. Maybe we didn't.
It's
Did we?
alright.
I don't
I
know.
We
don't
did.
think we did.
I thought we did.
You mentioned it. You did. You definitely did mention the kid friendliness of a console as opposed to a PC.
One thing I was thinking of with like the older generation versus the new gen is that how quickly some company, like game companies, they'll just forget about the older gen consoles and just completely screw them over with their games. Like, you guys remember when Black Ops 3 came out in like 2013 around the turn of like the 360 going on to the the end of the word, the Xbox One. Like, you guys remember around that time? So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
so they released both versions, an Xbox 360 version and a One version. But here's the problem. When they released it, it was awful. The 360 version. It only had multiplayer and the zombies. It had no campaign for some reason. And then I was watching people play it. The games looks like a PS2 game. Like they haven't been updated or anything. It looks like they didn't even try. So watching the gameplay, they even in that joked about it. Like, there's a cutscene and like the character has no eyes because of how much they didn't care. Like, they're missing parts of their body.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's that, and then they released DLC for the game, and the Xbox One version, it got all the DLCs, but the 360 version only got one DLC for some reason. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, why would you give someone such an unfinished product, and then they give them an unfinished product, and then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna charge you full price for this," you know? And then would you
Sounds
want?
like Cyberpunk.
Would you want a console upgrade? Oh, that's too bad.
Sounds like Cyberpunk.
Yep, definitely Cyberpunk. At least one thing with the 8th generation of consoles, with like the PS5 and everything, they're doing like a $10 upgrade to the next gen if you get a new console. And that I like what they're doing. So like if you're someone who doesn't have the new consoles at the time of the game being released, you're not left behind in a way. Like,
Well, sometimes it's a free upgrade, actually.
That's true. Some games are doing free. Not all of them though. I think Cold War did like did it do it? I think Cold War did like a $10 one.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it though. I think that's pretty much everything. In reality, I think that really covers every piece of the console/PC war.
Yeah. Do we count laptops as PCs or no?
I'm gonna say that yes, they're definitely still PCs, just because they have the operating system, and they end up being a lot of the same parts, or just like much smaller versions of the parts. There's not. I mean, they're just called laptops, just because you could end up putting it on your lap, and that's just like essentially the portability of it.
True. I feel like
I'm
with
gonna
that,
say
I feel
yes.
like with that maybe then like it could stand up against the portable consoles like DS and Switch and all that stuff. You know?
Yeah, but at that point, you're not playing a DS game or something. You're playing a real man's game on a laptop.
Yeah, real man's game, World of Warcraft, baby.
Well,
Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
that's
The
not a
what?
real game.
Yes, it is.
But
What do you
what
mean?
is it? What? Yeah, I
It's
mean,
really my heart.
honestly, what you might be able to play on a laptop right now, a gaming laptop that might not burn out, potentially at the current moment would be something like New World or something like that that recently came out. I'm only saying that though because people have 3090s and people's 3090s were not making it.
What do you mean?
With this,
What? How?
this because that's how strong like these games end up becoming. That they don't, or they also don't optimize their patch. They don't make patches and optimize these like graphic drivers and such for the games. So when you end up playing a new, like the max settings, or even like overclock settings, even, and then you just get that far into it, and the game is just tanking your. But also, that's just the thing with the game. That game was just that. Um, Amazon is a company that I don't know if you know this, but Amazon only they like to, it's a shopping center basically, not a gaming company. So
Yeah.
when they brought out this new game, the first issue was that it was people like me who were first in line trying to get into a highly populated server, and mind you, I was getting off of work, and I first thing I did when I got home from work was just put the computer on and just try to get into queue because I knew that there was going to be a waiting line. But I was waiting for about, let's say, like 3 o'clock till like 9 o'clock. That was 6 hours of waiting on a line of 10,000 people, and the line was barely moving for the first 2 hours. And that's just a server issue at that point, though. So if it ends up surviving through all of that, I think it is a game. I think it's a. I think it's a computer. You know,
Yeah.
but that's if it makes it.
Did,
So
did we did
I
we
haven't seen
mention
it.
did we mention console exclusive games and such things like that?
We mentioned it a tiny bit, but I think like if you don't know anything really about a console exclusive platform or the console exclusive games in the current uh genre of gaming right now,
Yeah.
then I think it's like it's very like self-explanatory, and PC has that too though, where there's like and it has a lot of it because a lot of indie developers end up releasing their games on computers
Yeah,
and
because it's like the easiest thing to release it on, and you don't need a license for a
exactly, and
console.
you
Like
don't
like
need a
so like
license.
Sony trying to get a indie game on Sony. Good luck. You ain't ever getting that on a PlayStation. Xbox, I
Right.
know like you can literally pay $20 and you can upload games. Like literally just drop $20, boom, there you go. You got a license. And then PC, you can just do it for free, either by yourself or if you want to do it through Steam. There's like just the Steam Greenlight. I don't know if they have Greenlight anymore, but there is a Steam method of doing it. I just don't know how.
Right.
And then I don't know about Epic Games. Epic Games is probably lenient with that. I feel like they are.
Yeah,
No,
I think.
knowing how they've been
Mm,
with the Epic Games Store, yeah, definitely.
well, now they have something new. I think though too now, don't they? They have like a new platform.
Do
Them.
they? I didn't hear.
It's either them or EA. I
Game?
think. I think it's
No,
either them or
Oh
EA.
yes, EA has
E
like a Game Pass type service.
EA has Origin, and Origin's actually the worst thing I've ever used in my
Well,
life.
no. I'm saying like they made like a new beta. Hold on, I'm about to go look for it in the Discord that I saw this in.
Oh, I don't know.
Uh,
But I remember them. I remember EA having Origin, and I've tried using Origin, and it straight up does not work. I've downloaded it twice. It took me 5 times to download for it to work. Like first, like
Ugh.
I bought what game was it? With my friend. I bought like A Way Out to play with them, and it never worked. It just never opened. I was like, why?
yeah, these are great questions. I have no
Or
idea.
Origin never opened, but then I tried re-downloading it like years later, and I was like, oh hey, I can play Battlefield now or Battlefront. It was just like, what happened?
Yeah, good
Like
question.
like
What did
that's
happen?
a big issue when I can't even open the launcher.
Yeah, no, that's not good at all.
So yeah, there's that. I think what I would say. Okay, I have like one last question about the exclusives. Would you guys say that what the? Oh, but I could. Okay, whatever. That bugged. Would you say that some console exclusives would make you want to buy the console?
Um,
Like, has there ever been an exclusive out there where you saw it's like, okay, I need this console?
you know, I feel like there was an instance in my life where I felt that way, but I can't really think of it at the moment.
I think for me, it's never been with the Xbox exclusives. I never been drawn to them until like my friends were like, "Oh, get an Xbox so we can all play together." It's like, okay, I guess I'll get one. Cause like
Yeah, Xbox was a thing I was never drawn to in the first place.
yeah, like I was always PlayStation. I was a PlayStation kid growing up because of my aunt always playing, and then my uncle was the Xbox guy, but I never followed with his stuff because I didn't like most of his games that he had at the time because I was young and I was like, oh, that's a spooky game. I don't like that. But then growing up, like I eventually went back to it. I remember I got my Xbox around like I was like 10 years old or something like that. And I was like, whoa, wait, I missed out on all this because like around that age, all my friends started playing Xbox, and it was something for us all to do with Call of Duty and all that. So I was like, huh, let me try out these Xbox exclusives, and that's when I finally got into Halo and like Gears of War and all that. And those were amazing. But I feel like I feel like if you like more gameplay driven games, go for the Xbox ones, or at least back then the Xbox exclusives. But then nowadays, like Sony with PS4 and the PS5, they got such amazing like graphics looking and story wise games. But
Oh, I could think of something. I would have to say Persona
it's true, Persona's up there with it.
for the PS Vita. Persona, Disgaea, um,
Easy with me. Any Naughty Dog game before The Last of Us 2, those were the ones that like I was like I need to have this console. Like I straight up bought the Uncharted 4 PS4 just so I can play the final game. That's how much I want. That's how much I need it. I was like, I need this now.
oh yeah, I forgot you have that one.
I needed it in my life. But yeah, I think exclusive wise, consoles have pretty good ones. Just depends on the taste of the person. But with like PC, the exclusives kind of match anyone. Like, because they're so universal. Where like literally anyone can upload anything they want. Do we have any other topics or anything? I think we're set.
Yeah, we're set.
John might be falling asleep.
Oh no.
John?
You okay, John?
John fell asleep. Alright, yeah, I think it's a good time to call it there after John straight up falls asleep on us. Alright, well...
John? Are you John?
I seriously think he fell asleep in his chair again. Alright, well, yeah, that's the place to call it. So, alright, what's up the schedule next? Well, I didn't even address that we've been super late with this episode. Sorry about that again. Everything that happened. What's it called? We were delayed heavily with this episode. Well, hopefully this doesn't happen again with our next episode on the 15th. The episode of I died. Okay. With the episode for video games becoming the norm on the 15th. Then on the 29th, we got the treatment of video game employees. That'll be a big topic for us. But for now, we're gonna call an episode, guys, and we're gonna say have a good night. I'm gonna say bye, Kaylin. These are your fans you're talking to.
What fans?
Alright.
People hate me.
Bruh. Alright. Good night, everyone.
Good night.